Okay. There we go. We got Basil in. When does the... Okay. Dog. When does the collab... I'm actually going to crash out at that. You are getting me riled up. I'm actually going to fucking crash out if people keep asking that. This might be worse than, when we're like, watching a Nick collab and then you guys are all like, when does the collab start? And it's like the first thing in the title. It might be worse.
Raving about your cryptic ways, aren't willing to change all grudges, hoping for your turn, all the basement stories you heard, waiting for the world.
There we go. We got him in. Boom. There we go. We got him in.
Yo, when does this collab start?
When does this collab start, dude?
When does this collab start, dude?
I can hear a bit of an echo on. Oh, there we go. Now it's better. Okay. Yo, what's up, man?
How's it going?
How's it going? It's going pretty good. Here, let me pull you up on screen here. A little bit of boomer tech there, dude. I had some groypers like make this Discord for me, and they added like the whole vetting process to it. And it was originally supposed to be like going through Telegram. And now, like, when people are added, it's just like you gotta jump through all these hoops to get in. It's a whole thing. But glad to have you on, man. I've been a fan for a while. I've followed you like on all of my accounts that I make when I have to remake them because I get banned all the time. And I find your clips hilarious. It's some like really good stuff.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad I'm connecting with like the Zoomers and shit. I'm glad I'm not too unk.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely not too unk, dude. Definitely not too unk.
I was spazzing out in the fucking Discord. I was like, bro, I never use fucking Discord. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, I'm locked out. I was like, I'm too fucking chopped for this shit.
I feel the same way sometimes, dude. I barely even use Discord. That's
No,
for
it's
like
good.
all
That's
the
very
photos and shit,
reassuring.
Yeah. I mean, we can start off on a number of different topics. Obviously, I want to dive into the JD Vance stuff with you.
For
You're
sure,
like
yeah.
an expert on that kind of stuff. One of my favorite clips is you kind of like describing the whole like TND thing about how it's like the whole like reversal kind of thing. I love that clip. You have a show that you're doing too, right? With Benny? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, we've started a show. We're 3 episodes in. We're doing it again this Saturday. We're gonna be live streaming Saturday at 9:30 Eastern. We have fun. We just crack open 2 or 3 bottles of wine and we just talk a bunch of shit. I do like really gay it up a bit. I really like, but you know what? That's kind of the fucking point. Cause like, you know, I mean, obviously, like fucking like Tucker had Milo on a couple days ago, and it's like the
Yes.
whole
Yeah.
thing is like all like they have is to try to smear Nick as gay. Because if they had anything else, they would have already done it. They would have already said it, you know? So it's like these people really don't fucking realize like no one gives a fucking shit. Like no one gives a shit. And it's like the only people who pretend to give a shit are like trad larpers or whatever. And they only cynically pretend to give a shit, right? They'll be like, oh, Basil's gay, but they're out here with like Ben Braddock and Benjamin Roberts and all these other like closeted faggots. And it's like, no one gives a fucking shit. So it's like, yeah, if you're gonna watch the Benny and Basil show, it's very much like a lot of this, but it's a little, my wrist is a little bit limper.
Dude, hey, you don't gotta explain that for us here, dude. Does not matter. I get some shit
Kids don't
sometimes.
care.
Yeah, we do not give a fuck, dude. I don't know if like how much you know about me, but I get hella shit because I'm into like the whole indie scene. Like
Mhm.
favorite artist is Clairo. Went to go see Addison Rae in concert. Like all that kind of stuff.
He's a
So it's
man of
like
culture and taste, and they're the most
exactly
persecuted men in the world.
straight up on like my life is actually extremely hard because of that.
I
And
believe it. Yeah.
so yeah, you don't gotta explain that to our chat. The Russellians get it. We all get it. We're all tapped in like that. I did want to actually ask about that just like a little bit though. How has it been like navigate because you talk with like Richard Spencer all the time and stuff, right? Is
Yeah.
does that ever come up with like his fans? Like, do they kind of give you shit?
It's funny because I was looking at the comments of the last time I was on with Rich. I was spoke to Richard Spencer last night, but the last time I was on Richard Spencer, I was looking at the comments, and it's like one of them is like, "Wow, Basil is like so insightful and just the right amount of camp," and then the next comment is like, "Who is this gay Jew?" And I'm and I'm like, "Perfect. I love being a polarizing figure,"
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like with Richard, it's like he is a man of culture and class and distinction or whatever. It's just like the point being is like we're like sophisticated people. We like I'm not like a fucking rural chud. I'm not like some fucking sheltered fucking trad cath pretender or ortho bro, whatever. It's like, yeah, if you're like under 50, like gay people. It's like if you're under like 25, you may even know a couple fucking trannies. We could get into the distinction between the two and like why it like how it's like, you know, if you want to be anti-censorship and whatever, how you have to navigate that. But it's like, I think what it is, it's like it's about authenticity, and it's like I'm never playing fucking hide the ball here, right? Like obviously, like my voice is this way, my wrist is this limp, whatever. But it's like the way I navigate it is by being like, sexual identity shouldn't be recognized in the law. Gay people shouldn't be like, there's no such thing as gay. There's like gay marriage isn't real. They shouldn't be allowed to adopt kids. It's like I say with my whole chest, like the political lines, right? It's like I'm very unambiguous about it. So that way it's like people are like, all right, well, at the very least, he's like maintaining that line and is not funging on it. And then on top of it, it's like what I would used to do is like I would on the timeline, I'd be like, well, I'm Volcel. I'm Volcel. So like when Muslims or like low IQ conservatards would be like, "Oh, Basil, you're gay." I'm like, "I'm Volcel. What more do you want from me?" Nowadays, I don't even fucking do that shit. I'm like, you either get it or you don't. The brand is strong enough as it is. I don't got to do this like fucking song and dance for you anymore. So it hasn't been too hard.
Gotcha. Yeah, totally. Totally agree with the whole authenticity point. It's like, I've been in this scene for ever since like 2018. And when I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing. And, I would just say the based and red pilled thing. I saw what was going on online. And like, I have all these beliefs. Like, I'm far right. Um, I am against like homosexuality and stuff and transgenderism and stuff like that. But I've just gotten to the point where it's like, dude, I don't know. Like, there's isn't a big fucking deal to me. And
There's a LARP aspect to it,
there's a
right? Because
LARP aspect,
there's a
totally.
LARP
Yeah,
where it's like you're just repeating the based and red pilled line, where it's like, okay, fine, yeah, sure, this is gross to you or that's gross to you, but it's like you don't have to be performative, right? If like
exactly.
you're live
Yeah,
in a city, you're college educated, like you're not supposed to like make yourself a fucking pariah loser to be like, oh, disgusting, I can't go to the fucking whatever, I can't go to the club, I can't go to the whatever. It's like the point is to like know the difference between what's like LARPy and branding and like fun with your friends. Like have fun with your friends on the internet, right? Like if you want to like talk about like, esoteric Hitler memes and whatever the fuck it is, like whatever, have fun with your friends within reason on the internet, knowing that like people are watching, and if you have a real job to like be conscious of that. But it's like keep that separate from, okay, the Civil Rights Act is the reason why we're censored, right? Its expansion to include sexual orientation is the reason why these gays are allowed to get married and adopt kids to molest and blah blah blah. The expansion for gender identity expression is the reason why there's trannies everywhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, know that those are the hard line black and white law shit, and then it's like you're kind of free to be like, all right, if you're disgusted by something, be disgusted by something. If you're not, be like, don't. Like, it doesn't matter like what you do. It's like, and because I started around 2018 too. And so, like, the people from before me, the alt right people and whatever, was so fucking LARPy. It was so fucking like, oh, pretend to be an actual Nazi, pretend to be a white supremacist, even though you're fucking Asian twinks, blah, 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 all that bullshit. And it was also like the same type of like on the other side, it was like Chapo Trap House, like ironic detachment, irony poisoned, irony pilled. And that shit is fucking over. Now it's about be authentic, be yourself. Keep in mind the fucking hard, bright red lines, right? But don't LARP, right? Because the LARPing is what gets you fucking canceled or gets you fucking fired or gets you caught up in all this shit where it's like you're exposed and this, that, and the other shit. It's like authenticity is the name of the game. And that's why like people like Milo are like an anachronism. They're like are from a different time. They're like playing this stupid fucking LARP shit. And that's why I'm gonna eat his whole fucking lunch. That's why I'm about to
Hell
take him
yeah.
out and like, you know, it's like, sorry, there can only be one sinister faggot at a time. But authenticity is the name of the game these days.
Only one sinister faggot at a time. Love that. Yeah,
Get out the way, bitch.
I always equate it to like when people still use like the Burger King crown meme or the laser eyes or whatever. I see that shit on the TL, and every single time I just roll my fucking eyes, dude. It's like it's 2025. Things are so much different. You don't gotta prove to us how based and red pilled you are.
Right.
You get it or you don't. And whenever I see people like that, like there's this whole new crop of influencer on TikTok ever since like Nick totally popped off. And they're all just, they're all trying to like ape his bit kind of. And they're all on TikTok just talking about Israel and the Jews and how black people commit crimes. 1350. 1350 is another one. When somebody brings up 1350 now, I'm just like, holy fucking base, dude. Like it's the most ridiculous stuff. So yeah, I always
No,
equate
I
it to
see it all
that.
the time because it's like, even to this day, it's like, oh, we're gonna fucking kill you or we're gonna put you in a crystal. It's like, where are the deportations?
Yeah,
Oh, you're gonna
right.
deport me? There are 40 million illegals in this country still. Where the fuck? Where aren't you deporting them? You know, or like people like to LARP. Like when people do like, oh, you listen to Basil? Basil's brown. What the fuck are you fucking talking about? The whole point of why we're here is because brown people are legally privileged over white people and gay people are legally privileged over normal people. The whole fucking point is that I could say with my whole chest, deport 40 million people, roll back or even repeal the Civil Rights Act, all of that shit, and I'm legally privileged in the real world. When all of these like little lost in the sauce little Nazi pretenders be like, Basil's brown, they're just being like, to me, the way I picture it is like I opened a door into a room and I saw a grown man playing with dollies, right? Like, oh, JD Vance
Totally.
is gonna deport 40 million people. It's like, dude, you're 40 years old and have a wife and kids, and you think like BAP is your friend? Like you think you're friends with BAP and you think you're friends with Jonathan Keeperman? It's like, dude, they don't even know who the fuck you are. Like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah, the dude, I'm so glad that I do feel in a certain aspect that BAP has been pretty much dismantled online. Like
Done,
it's
cooked.
done. He's cooked. And I'm very happy about that because that whole era where I mean, I never thought that it was actually kind of close. Like BAP never really was at the same level as Nick. But that whole era of the back and forth kind of thing and how like Ripers exposed him and stuff like that. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, how do more people not see what's going on? Like, how do people not see the whole like Curtis Yarvin shit? It
No,
was
because
just
you're
kind of
right. Because
mind
there was a
blowing.
time when it was like the whole like dissident. Because the way I talk about Twitter is I call it a media market, right? People think that they're doing social media or whatever. Really, what Twitter is a kind of microcosm of the media market that includes like Hollywood, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times. That's the macro side of it, right? The micro side is Twitter. And what you see is like all of these takes get like weather ballooned and honed on the timeline, and especially in the group chats, like 6 to 18 months before you see them on CNN and like whatever. That's how come you see Megyn Kelly repeating the Epstein take that the BAP sphere had 6 months ago, where it's like, well, it's more of like a phobophilia. That was the BAP sphere's take 6, 8 months ago, right? And it's like back then, it's like you really did see this divide between the Nick sphere on one side and the BAP sphere on the other, and they were like fighting for market share. And what the funny thing is like nowadays, And listen, I think it's because a certain someone kept popularizing the term Bronze Age Barry Weiss and kind of pointing out that connection and pointing out that all that really was a kind of kosher racism. Because what they would do is they would be like, okay, disaffected young white man, you want to do TND and send them all back? So true. But also, Israel is Bronze Age. Right? It was like a kind of little bait and switch where they kind of bring you in with the TND and the whatever. And then they're like, when October 7th happened, they crack the whip and they're like, no, you're not allowed to call Hamas Bronze Age. Israel is Bronze Age, whatever. And it really exposed the whole fucking thing. But what I see now is like, when you think of that as like a kind of network of like connected take sellers, as I like to call them, and think of them as like kind of like a media cartel, you see, okay, BAP got sidelined, right? Because it kind of was like, too much, too obvious, whatever. But instead, they now have Jonathan Keeperman and Chris Rufo and John Doyle and Reinhard Wolf. I'm sorry, Patrick Casey on fucking The Blaze. Glenn Beck's The Blaze, the most fucking Christian Zionist bullshit. You have all these people. You have fucking Chris Rufo and Jonathan Keeperman being like, damn, Nick is really sending his audience down a dark path, as though we don't know for a fact that Jonathan Keeperman in his group chats with Martin and fucking Raw Egg Nationalists are not saying TND and all this bullshit. He then comes onto the Blaze to like clutch his pearls and be like, yes, it's very disturbing what Nick is telling his audience. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Dude, totally. Yeah. Now you brought up a John Doyle. Thoughts on his whole Blaze thing? I don't really keep up with him. I did one event with him way back in the day. It was like 2022. We spoke at Fresno State Uni together. And that's like really the only time that I ever talked with him. And my main takeaway from that was just like his ego. He had a fucking massive ego, dude. And I'm sitting there with like my buddies who like go to Fresno. I'm just like, this fucking guy. It was just like one of the most annoying things ever. But I'm curious as to like your opinion on him getting on the Blaze, doing this whole show, doing the whole like pre-recorded bit kind of thing. Obviously,
He's very strivery.
Yeah. It's like obviously I think that the powers the powers that be are trying to just throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks to like try to kind of take on Nick and get at least some of that Gen Z audience back. I think that he's like 4 shows in now. I tuned in for a second the other day, and bro had like 350 live viewers halfway through his show. I'm just like, damn, like it's
Okay,
already over.
All right. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
But yeah, I'm kind of curious on like your thoughts on I mean, whether it's like Nayland Haley or John Doyle, all these newer Gen Z guys that are
you
kind
like
of
Nick Fuentes, you'll love
exactly.
Indian Nick Fuentes, you'll love kosher Nick Fuentes. And it's because the thing is, it's like with John Doyle, I remember a couple years ago when he like snaked Nick, he immediately started fucking cozying up to like Martin and Brap and Ren. And I was like, I see what the play is here. Because like I said, it was like the media market was bifurcated. You were either on one side or the other side. And I was like, kind of the way I always was like, listen, it's like a football game and that they're on the field and I'm over here as the announcer trying to like get the audience to understand the plays that are being made, like take a step back and see who's sponsoring who's cozying up to who's fucking who, whatever. So it was very obvious to me that he was like cozying up to the BAP sphere. And then it's like, the way I see John Doyle is like, I actually kind of don't see it as an attempt to get Nick's audience. I think what it is, it's their target audience isn't us on Twitter. It's actually like the boomers on Facebook. They're the ones who share the Daily Wire videos. They're the ones who share the Blaze videos. And I think what it is to kind of like sell to the boomers that like, don't worry, the kids are still trusting the plan. The kids are still on board. Don't worry about it, Because I view it as a kind of form of elder abuse because it's like they're telling the boomers like, all right, we're all trusting the plan. It's all going according to plan. Meanwhile, we on Twitter see that like John Doyle and all them are like replying under Stephen Miller's tweets like, please, Stephen Miller, save us, please. And it's like nothing more Bronze Age than begging and crying out to the sky for a man to save you. It's like, so at the end of the day, like, I mean, if you're old enough to remember the War on Terror days, you had people like David Frum and David French and Eli Lake and these people who were like wrong. They were the ones selling you the Iraq War. But just because you're wrong in the media market doesn't mean you go away in shame. Actually, you fail upwards, right? Because you're towing the right lines and someone will pay you to tow that line. So it's like we're going to continue to see John Doyle probably for a while, or Jonathan Kieferman or Chris Rufo or whatever, because they're towing that line. They're doing that kind of kosher racism where, Chris Rufo and Lomez and Doyle will like talk about the Somalis in Minnesota, right? And it's like, we have no problem with talking about the Somalis in Minnesota. Get them all the fuck out of here, right? But we say yes and Jewish supremacism and Jewish chauvinism, and then they attack us. Right. But we don't attack them when they say the Somali thing, but we're saying, okay, and right. And they're like, no, 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 because Glenn Beck is signing my check. Glenn Beck wants to
Totally.
bring over all the refugees.
Yeah, yeah, dude, totally. That was like Teep USA's main play too, right? When they brought on what the fuck was Steve Saylor. And
Yep.
and Charlie Kirk started to bring on like the white nationalist guys. Oh, now we can make fun of all of the black people. We can make fun of all these Muslims, the Muslim Brotherhood and all that shit. And
It's
like
funny
Nick
that you
Nick
mentioned
talked
Steve
about this at length,
Saylor.
but sorry, yeah.
No, I was saying it's sorry to cut you off, but it's funny that you mentioned Steve Saylor, right? Because like Nick Land and Curtis Yarvin are kind of like their thinker, and Steve Saylor are kind of like their intellectual pool that they pull from,
Exactly, yeah.
right? And Nick Land has said this about Curtis Yarvin, where he's basically saying like they're like white nationalists, right? Whatever we call white nationalists are only dangerous insofar that they are correct about things other than Jewish supremacism and Jewish chauvinism, right? So the white nationalists have a critique of Jewish power, right? In addition to that, they also have this thing where they talk about race realism and IQ and crime statistics and all that shit. So that's what makes them dangerous, right? Because they're the only people who are talking about the race realism and the crime and the IQ stuff. Plus, it's connected to this critique of Jewish supremacism. So what Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land and BAP and Roy Nationalist and Jonathan Kieferman and Barry Weiss and all them do is they say, okay, fine, we're going to take Steve Saylor, so we're going to take the race and IQ stuff, we're going to take the race realism stuff, and leave you with just the Jewish supremacism stuff, so that we are able to like neuter you and defang you and take your place in the market. And that's been their whole MO the whole time. It's kosher racism.
Totally, yeah. And there was a point where I thought that maybe that could be, or it could have been a effective play if there was somebody that was maybe actually charismatic that could kind of latch onto it and just become like the master of racism. But nobody really could. And then with Nick's, exponential rise in like the past year or past 2 years, especially on TikTok with like young people, um, it's just become that like anti-Semitism has now completely outweighed the racism thing and coolness. And now we got like all the frat bros who are sharing the Nick Instagram reels about like shitting on Jews. And I just feel like they're just screaming into the ether. Like over at Teep USA, over at the Blaze, whatever it is, they're just over here screaming into the ether. They've picked their play and it didn't work out for them. And I feel like they're just scrambling at this point. They're never gonna touch anything anti-Semitic, obviously, and that's obviously a big plus for us because it's the truth. Like it is the truth, and
Exactly. And
I'm
what they would
I'm
do is they would always try to like to dismiss you as like a low IQ anti-Semite, right?
yeah,
That
the
was their
whole low
favorite
IQ
phrase.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Right. And it's like, okay, it's fine. If that's low IQ anti-Semitism, show me the high IQ anti-Semitism, which they never ever produced. And that was the difference too, is because it was like Nick every single night for 3 fucking hours provides his audience with analysis. The BAP sphere never did that. There was nobody there to say, this is our analysis of what's going on. All they ever did was this kind of weird thing where it's like, you're supposed to absorb what you're supposed to think and not think based on who they shit on and who they mock. Like little fucking middle school mean girls, right? They're like, oh, they're calling this person brown and gay, and whatever that person's saying is not the line. But there's no actual positive line of what they're supposed to be saying, right? And then Nick's whole generational run just fucking blew a fucking hole open in the discourse by saying, actually, you can make a coherent, not bigoted, not hateful critique of Jewish chauvinism, of Jewish supremacism, and it's high IQ and it's all that shit. It was like, well, once you do that, what do you have left to say against him? He's gay. Who gives a fuck? Even if he's not, but even if, who
Yeah,
gives a fuck?
he's
You know,
most definitely not. But
yeah, exactly. But it's like even then, it's like even if your smear was true, no one gives a fuck. So you got nothing, and you're just scrambling and trying to like see what. Let's revive Milo. Let's revive whoever. It's like good fucking luck, bitch. If that's the best you fucking got.
yeah, now the whole Milo thing, that's been kind of crazy to watch because I try not to pay attention to like any of that shit, whether it's Milo, any of these A logs. Like I've always just kind of ignored it. I feel like it's just a waste of my time and energy at this point.
Totally.
The whole A log arc, that was 2022. We've done that. We've been there. It was AIDS. Like I'm just totally over it. But yeah, he's going on Tucker. He's on Tim Pool.
Yeah.
He went on Fresh and
Fresh and
Fit.
Fit.
Fuck Myron, by the way. That's
Fuck
just
Myron.
like
That's snake
completely
shit.
ridiculous. And yeah, I don't know what these people are thinking, dude. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not like, back in like what 2016 or whatever, there was like a certain appeal to a figure like Milo, right? Who was maybe a bit edgy for the time, whatever. But again, the year is the current year. It's 2025. Literally everybody is past that. Bro goes on Tim Pool. He's wearing like makeup. He's doing this whole like emo goth thing. His eyes are crossed. Like,
Dude,
what are we
it's
doing?
so fucking
Um,
cringe. And that's the thing. And no one wants that shit anymore. No one, because that's the thing. It's like 2016 was so like performative and
yeah,
fake and gay. And like, and the thing is, too, is like Milo, they liked Milo because he was kind of this bridge because of fucking Rebecca Mercer and Steve Bannon over at Breitbart. He's basically, I will never forgive Steve Bannon for putting Milo, infecting the discourse with AIDS in the form of Milo, And it's like he was like kind of like this bridge between like the alt-right and the normie con sphere, and they loved the theatrics or whatever, but it's like that shit doesn't fucking hit anymore. But that's really all they have left. And it's so weird because it's like you saw it with Candace where she had Nick on, and then she tried to do her own kind of gotcha, and then immediately had Milo on to kind of do this whole gotcha. And then Tucker does the exact same thing where he has Nick, then he has Nayland Haley, and then he has Milo. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Meanwhile, he's going around to all these other interviews being like, I denounce Jew hatred, I denounce anti-Semitism. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? And the thing is, like, the Tucker stuff, it's like it reeks of inauthenticity. It's so fake and gay, and it's like so obvious. But it's like I don't know why Milo, I think, thinks he's having his own little generational run by going from Tucker to Fresh and Fit to fucking Tim Pool. It's like, what generational run is this? It's like you're sitting there talking with fucking, what's the other? I guess it's Myron and Fresh is the other one, or is
yeah.
he Fit?
I don't even know
I
his
don't know.
name. I just know
gave
him
him
as
fucking
Fresh. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
even
It's
know.
like it's you're just sitting with a bunch of prostitutes, and you think it's like you think you really got one because you're like, Nick is a faggot. It's like, who gives a fuck? Like, it's what is this is the best you got? That's the thing. I see. As soon as I saw it, I was like, if I didn't believe Nick won before, this is confirmation that Nick has won, and he's just like slow walking across the finish line, because it's like if you had something, you would have said it, but you got nothing.
Yeah, that's how I've always taken all these like slanderous attacks against him because like I've known Nick for a very long time, and like I know who he is, and whenever I hear this like stupid shit, I mean, like they say that I live with him, and I'm just like I don't. Like, so it's just like like I kind of like know what's going on. So literally every single like slanderous attack, I see that shit. I'm just like, you're just pulling it out of your ass, dude. Like the only people that are going to latch on to that and run with it and go with it are like mentally deranged freaks. There's just nothing there.
Shout out to Miss
And
Candace Owens. Shout out to Miss Candace
yeah,
Owens, right?
it's
And
it's the
that's what
whole QAnon Candace Owens conspiratard thing, just with like a very parasocial hyper online twist.
exactly. And it's like the problem with Candace Owens, and Nick has talked about this too, where it's like you're kind of touching on like the adjacent of the, you know, Jewish supremacism, Jewish chauvinism thing, but you're like talking about Frankists and you're talking about this and you're talking about whatever, but then mixing that in with like the moon landing was fake and also the French are killing me and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, you know, it's like Nick was saying where it's like it's about like making people sound dumb, but even further on top of that, where it's like I could very easily see a future where Candace like gets committed, right, and gets is like locked up in a loony bin for a week, and then it makes it so that like,
By the
oh,
bee cult,
actually,
by the Utah bee cult. They're gonna
yeah,
get her
exactly.
ass.
They're bringing the Egyptian planes to take her to the fucking psych ward, and it's like it then becomes where it legitimates this narrative of saying, oh, actually, being critical of Jewish supremacism is actually indicative of a mental illness, and the left loves doing this shit, where they're like, oh, actually, we're not gonna engage with you, and we can't use the state against you because of the First Amendment, but what we can do is use the fucking mental health system to lock you up. They did this in Australia during COVID, where it's like if you didn't want to get a shot, they'd be like, oh, you're crazy, and they would put you in a fucking psych ward. So it's very nefarious. But I could also see like Candace, because like I could also see Candace being so stupid that she doesn't even realize the role that she's playing.
Yeah,
And then it's
totally.
like she'll be like legitimately be like, oh, I needed a mental health break. But it's like, bitch, what you've then done is like your arc, your narrative, your meta narrative is like, oh, I talked about the Jews and then I ended up being crazy.
Totally, yeah. Now, how deep do you think it goes? Like the Milo Candace connection. Like how deep do you think they're kind of trying to plan this out and maybe have like a long-term play to just like flood the market with all of these different characters that are kind of like adjacent or different alternatives to AF? Um, I've been like thinking about this a lot lately. Obviously, we just kind of talked about how it's like not working, but I'm kind of curious on like what you think, how deep it goes, like how far up this is going. Are we like talking about, you know, some kind of like GOP thing, like GOP actors, sending these people out, different handlers, like along these lines?
Well, I think really what it is, it's kind of like I kind of think imagine like they're like on like all of them are in like a go-kart that's like speeding down the highway, but it's like falling apart, like the wheels are falling off, but they're like as they're driving super fast, they're kind of like hodgepodging the cart together to keep it going. You know, because it's like really what they need is JD Vance to win in 2028. Right?
Totally.
Because like, you know, every time Trump has won has been like kind of like a mass red pilling moment, which where lots and lots of people get like plugged into the discourse, right? I thank God all the time that I didn't get plugged into the discourse during the first Trump era, right? The whole 2015 alt-right era, because I'm like, who knows what I would have gotten caught up with? I would have been like in with fucking Laura Loomer and Milo in a fucking bathtub filled with blood, and that they did some
Exactly.
weird fucking shit back in the day, you know? And I'm like, thank God I missed that arc. But like I came in during COVID because COVID red pilled me, right? It was like where I'm like, no, how this is all connected, tech, defense, pharma, finance, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of good people came in during that era, I think. But then in 2024, we had the influx of like little tech. So like David Sachs, Mark Andreessen, Peter Thiel, that whole sphere. It's like, oh, you didn't get red pill during COVID? Of course not, because during COVID, you were working with big tech and the government to censor the discourse. Right? You were the one who said, because if I said that men can't be women, I would get my 2022, the year of 10 Basil accounts, because I was
Yeah.
burning through them.
Dude, I've
So it's
I've
like,
literally went through over 100. Like, not even
that's
kidding. I've been
nuts.
through over 100 fucking Twitter accounts. It's
That's
ridiculous.
nuts. This is like number 15 for me. And I've had this one for a year and about to crack 10,000 by the end of the year. I'm very
Hell
proud of
yeah.
myself. But I think so why little tech came was because they want to use Trump as a Trojan horse. Right? They don't actually care about Trump. When you see like people like Martin and all these people being like, we're Trump loyalists, they only care about Trump in order to get JD Vance in. Right? Because JD Vance is their fucking guy. And their whole thing is like they wanted two things. They want one to funnel defense contracts to themselves. So like Palantir and Aaron Dill and that type of thing. But then secondly, they want to keep crypto markets as liberalized as possible because that's how they transfer money to each other. So when you
Yeah.
saw Anna Kachian doing Anna coin or Dasha doing Dasha coin or wife coin or trend coin or trad coin, that's how they funnel money to each other. They're not trying to rug pull the audience. What they're doing is a dev is coming up to Anna, for example, and saying, hey, listen, this is your coin, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. We're going to announce it. You're going to be an early holder. You're going to be one of the first holders. Once you announce it, we'll dump 10, 50, 100,000 into it, and then eventually you'll sell it, right? So maybe some audience members might even get some money as it goes up, but the point is to hide the fact it's like, I didn't write you a check, Anna. We did the thing through the coin. So they want to keep those coins as that whole like stable coin market as like unregulated as possible, which is also the same reason why it's the same reason why they're also obsessed with El Salvador. It's like, do you think I needed Bukele to teach me to lock up criminals? No, of course not.
Yeah.
The reason why we're so obsessed with El Salvador is because Curtis Yarvin and Ben Braddock from the magazine I Am 1776, which is like a Claremont Institute cutout, they want El Salvador to adopt Urbit along with Bitcoin because that would be a huge fucking boon for them. That's why we're always talking about El Salvador. I don't know why Elijah Schaefer's there. I mean, who knows why?
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah, Elijah, dude, that clip of Elijah Schaefer, when he's like stuttering to Gavin. Gavin got his ass there. He had he's like, he basically just said, yeah, I'm like a spy. Like,
how are you not prepared for that question?
Yeah,
like, what are you
like,
doing in El
think
Salvador?
about that beforehand?
Like, truly, it's like these people are idiots. Like, these people are like, it would that's almost like a reason to think that it's not as like so coordinated as one might think, right? It really is just kind of like, we all understand that the guys who are signing our checks and keeping this shit going want JD Vance in. So we don't get like a directive in our inbox to telling us what to say. We just know that if we say anything against JD Vance or criticize Trump too hard, that people are going to start, the other like notable figures are going to start shitting on us. So we kind of just absorb what we're supposed to say. But because otherwise Elijah should have gotten a fucking note in the mail where like, if anyone asks you what you're doing in El Salvador, he just knows he has to be in El Salvador. You know, it's
exactly.
Yeah,
so
I think it's just really about getting JD Vance in, and these people are kind of like figuring out and winging it along the way.
Totally. Yeah, I think that further proof of that is the fact that JD Vance has been kind of trying to appeal to Groypers. You know, he hasn't like totally come out and been like, hoorah, I'm in support of you guys. But you know, he's quote tweeting stuff, and he's kind of like giving like winks and nudges kind of thing. And
he's playing both sides. He's really playing both sides because he
totally
had Rod Dreher
totally scared.
Yeah, terrified because he doesn't know what to do. That's the thing. It's like, because it's like we're playing in a game where it's like, the thing is, it's like JD Vance is a proof of concept for Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen and David Sachs. They get to go to their buddies and say, look, we could do this thing where you flood the discourse with certain media figures who you don't ever say that they're connected, but they all have a shared line because we're paying them. And we could show you how we could create a whole kind of artificial groundswell for this guy. So they kind of proved with JD Vance, at least thus far, that the proof of concept works. Right. So it's like, I think that like JD Vance is playing this weird game where he doesn't really quite, there's no right answer. There's no playbook, right? So he's kind of like hedging his bets where when Rod Dreher comes to his house, he'll tell Rod Dreher, I fucking hate Nick Fuentes and da-da-da-da-da. But he has to keep playing these nudge, nudge, wink, wink games with the timeline and how he phrases certain things. But again, it's like, it goes to so much shit where it's like people will say like the Trump tweet where it's like, oh, I love that Thanksgiving Trump tweet when he talks about Somalis, where it's like, you know what I care about? The law. Where are the deportations? Why are we rolling? Why have you can't? Oh, this Afghan guy shot those National Guard people. Why do we still have special immigration visas for them? Why haven't you changed anything? You've been president for 11 months. You're the head of the State Department, et cetera, et cetera. It's like I don't care about the aesthetics. I don't care about the visuals. I don't care about the words. I care about the action. And so many of these people that get lost in the sauce get all caught up in the words and the aesthetics and the actions. It's like, oh my God, did you see Elon Musk did a Roman? And then yesterday he's like, Jews are the best white people. It's like, okay. That's why you don't get lost in the sauce of the words. You focus on the law and the actions.
Totally, yeah. The Elon Musk stuff lately, he's been kind of coming back. He kind of took a bit of a hiatus there, and I've noticed he's been a little bit more active. Like he's calling Nick a Fed yesterday, And I'm just like, you would literally have top secret security clearance. Like you're in the white, you are literally like the Fed. Not
It's
just
like when
even
I call
a
someone a
Fed, the
faggot, you know,
Fed.
it's like, dude, look in the mirror. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And, the whole like being scared of Groypers thing, it's so crazy to me how they lash out in such a overt way. Like when Project Groyper got banned, that was my biggest account that I've had ever. I was a part of the whole Project Groyper thing. And I got nuked in that by Elon. And we're all going through it. It's like it totally sucks. And then Elon, he's on like my buddy Hoplight's alt account that he made, and he got caught because he accidentally like liked something that he retweeted. So he's like literally at Mar-a-Lago with Trump, sitting on his phone on a random Groyper respawn account, scrolling through it, just like seething. It's like, are you
that's
not one of the
insane.
most powerful people in the world? Like you're
It
at
shows you how
Mar-a-Lago with
impotent they
Trump and
are.
you're like seething at Hoplite on Twitter.com. And
No, it shows you how impotent they are, and it shows you
yeah.
just how like people are like, oh, Twitter's not real. Like, okay, sure, Twitter's not real life. You're trapped here with us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and because this is where the discourse gets honed, right? This is where all of that shit gets honed, and they know that Twitter is like the propaganda machine, right? And it's like it's the normies see it on MSNBC or CNN or whatever, but we know that we're here doing it 6 to 18 months beforehand, and that they know it too. That's how come, like, Ben Shapiro's like, get off the internet and touch grass, and it's like, which is it? Is it that Larry Ellison has to buy TikTok because it's so dangerous, or is it not real? They know it's real. They know that this is the discourse. They know that we're the most plugged in people into the discourse and that it matters. And it's like, it's going to be a very interesting primary, because I want, like, the most interesting thing that could happen would be if JD Vance denounces Nick before the primaries, because bitch, I'll take a drive up to fucking New Hampshire. I don't give a fuck. I'll see what the fuck is up. I don't care. But what I think will actually happen is that he will try to play this both sides game for as long as he can, and then if he gets elected, the second he gets elected, then he'll denounce Nick. Because it's the same thing. It's like you have leverage before the election. As soon as the election's over, you don't have leverage anymore. That's what this whole Bapsphere and Martin and all them, they either don't realize or they don't care, because they're just like unpaid propagandists, where it's like after the election's over, they don't have to listen to you. It's only before the election when they need your votes. That's when you're equal to the donors.
Totally. Yeah. And that was kind of like the whole idea behind Groyper War too, right? Is trying to like use that leverage to make Trump, make these promises around Iran, around immigration. I almost brought this up a little bit earlier, but on like one of the Trump accounts on Instagram, this was like 2 or 3 days ago. They posted that there have been 2 million deportations. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, like 2 weeks ago, it was what, 1.4? So 600, you got 600,000 people out in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Really?
right. And
And
my aunt's the Queen of England, and it's like, yeah, and I'm
exactly.
Napoleon. Yeah, no, that whole one, because what it was 1.6 before, and they based that off of a Department of Labor like survey of people like self-declaring themselves as illegal, and then they extrapolated that to say 1.6. Complete fake news. The only deportation numbers that matter are removals. How many people did you remove from the country yourself, right? And they do this thing where it's like, oh, we have the lowest number of foreign-born whatevers. I'm like, we also have the highest number of naturalizations. Congrats, you just put these people over the finish line where you can never deport them. Because, oh, you were not deporting 40 million people, but you're going to tell me that we're going to start denaturalizing people? Give me a fucking break. I have a fucking bridge to sell you.
Yup, totally, dude. It's been so disappointing. And I kind of look back to like when I first got into this, and we were all pro Trump, and we were there for like the J6. I mean, I wasn't there at J6, but I was
Yeah, if
online for
anyone's
the
listening, we were
J6
not there
stuff.
for
Yeah, we're not
J6.
there, but yeah, I was around online for the J6 stuff. And during that time period, it really was kind of like, yo, Trump is our guy. Like, yeah, he's kind of let us down in the first admin, but like he still has this aura. He's in like the black long coat. He's got the gloves on. He's like, we're gonna march to the Capitol. And there was this kind of sense like the whole like strong man is here. He's going to save the country. America first. Like, let's fucking go. Let's own some lives. And in the past 5 years, it's been such a switch to now like
Mhm.
Trump is totally neutered. He's clearly taking orders from other elites that he surrounded himself with. And there's no more aura there. And the whole MAGA base is now just like a big like flea market. It's a big
Mhm.
fucking circus. And obviously I think it's America first. I think that Groypers have never been in a better position than right now. There's so many young guys that are getting involved that are, making their lives matter. They now have purpose and they're
Mhm.
infiltrating and they're getting into government. And we've already taken over TPUSA and they can bitch and they can cry and they can seethe about it, but that's just happened. And, I'm looking, maybe down the line another 5 years, and this transition is going to be like one of the coolest things to witness. Just the
Mhm.
total annihilation of all these fake pussies and grifters and talentless hacks. And I cannot wait until like this whole MAGA era is over and real America First people are calling the shots, until real America First people are some of the biggest voices online. We're already starting to see that.
Mhm.
And the other part to that is like it kind of ties into something that you said about how like the online stuff is kind of cultivated like 16 months beforehand. The online stuff is more real and more important than the IRL stuff at this point.
Mhm.
Online is where everything spawns from. That this is where people kind of get, for like lack of a better term, indoctrinated into, like real ideology, into something that actually matters. It gets people thinking. And I see all these like wingnats or like Jack Posobiec or Raw Egg Nationalist, whoever else, and they're always like, "Oh, you gotta get out and you gotta go door knock, and you gotta get out in real life, and you gotta be a slave for the GOP." And I'm just like, who the fuck
And it's
wants to
like
go
back in the
door
day,
knock?
they
It's
were the
like
ones who were saying that's Fed shit, don't do that, blah
exactly,
blah
yeah,
blah blah blah. It's a complete switch up. And it's like I remember, with this past election, they were like, "Oh, well, Trump doesn't have to get reelected, so he's really going to be unleashed." And it's like, no, he's going to be a lame duck immediately. And all of the people that he brings on are going to be angling for themselves to run in 2024 2028 immediately. Like it was complete fucking nonsense from the jump. But it's like people, like I said, it's like it's weird because it's like, yeah, in real life matters because like that's where you're indoctrinated, but it's like how does one get staffed in real life? It's because someone slid into their DMs because they're like, "Oh, I like what you're saying, blah
exactly.
blah blah," and that's how they get staffed. It's a symbiotic relationship, and if you can't discount one or the other. You have to be operating in both levels, and that's why I'm always like, don't get so lost in the sauce that you're like posting Cunny and fucking, Sig Heiling and putting, Hitler my little dark age edits. And I'm like, it's not saying completely neuter yourself, right? But it's saying like, keep an eye on if you're like a young man of like talent or like you can get credentialed or you can do something, you should be doing that. You should be doing the online stuff in such a way that you could still like show your authenticity but still be able to be hired. Because like what happened with the whole Blaze shit, right? Blaze, when they hired Rufo and Lomez, they also wanted to hire horny Matt Forney, right? But
True, yeah, yeah.
They had to drop him immediately because his online shit is too lost in the sauce, where he's talking about like, oh, we're gonna, like, I don't know, kill Indians or whatever the fuck he was saying, like some retarded shit. So they had to drop him. And it's like what you young men should be thinking about is like, I want to be able to say like, yes, we have to deport 40 million people. We have to roll back the Civil Rights Act. We have to, talk about Jewish supremacism openly, but not like doing a thing where it's like you're scaring the hose so that where it's like you can't be brought on when we have full control of like Heritage and Claremont and TPUSA and all of this stuff.
Totally, yeah, dude. Matt Forney. The only thing that I think of whenever I hear that name is his famous video where he's getting like chased by Antifa and he trips. Love
Yep,
that
yep, yep.
video. So
Could you
good.
imagine getting it wasn't even really Antifa. It was like just two gay guys. It was like, and it's like
Yeah.
you got pressed that hard. It was like, could it be me? You two faggots could never G check. I would be like, what? No, not him. He fucking fell and tripped over. He's like, if you're to the left, to the right of Karl Marx, like huffing and puffing and
Uh,
out of breath. I was like, embarrassing, bitch. And they called me a fat faggot.
yeah, dude, straight up. It's so embarrassing. All these people are embarrassing.
Yeah,
And
cringe as
it's
fuck. Reinhard Wolf, embarrassing as fuck. What are you doing? It's like they're about to bring him onto the Blaze too, I think. And it's like I remember when you were like I wasn't around, but like I've heard about like when you were running cover for Sam Dixon sucking fucks in Florida. When Sam Dixon out in Florida was trying to like have sucking fucks and shit, and people were like getting caught up in it, they would go to you and be like, "What's going on here?" You'd be like, "Ah, don't worry about it, blah blah blah." But then fast forward to 2021, 2022, you're like, "Don't listen to Basil, he's gay." And it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? The fuck are we talking about?
yeah, dude, the whole Reinhardt Wolf thing, it's like back in well, I guess what was it? It was 2021 when AFPAC 2 was going down. And when he split from AF, because like, when he was a part of it, I had respect for him. He was a part of it. He had his whole I'm the CEO of the movement atavism thing. And I thought that he was chill or whatever, kind of weird, but like, whatever. And I saw that split happen in real time, and it was just the most like pussy shit ever. One thing about me, I am like hardcore like loyalist, like even outside of politics, just with my IRL friends, I value loyalty so much.
Okay.
Like I can't even describe it. And so when I see people act out in that way, when they get all scared and they act like a pussy and they, act on just like on a whim like that and they blow it all up, I just lose all respect for that.
It's
And
cause these fake sellers, he saw a fucking opportunity and he went for it. You know,
yeah,
same thing with John Doyle, right? He's like, oh, these BAP guys seem like they're popping off. Let me go jump ship. And it's like, dude, that type of snake shit is exactly like that's why the fucking Dante's Inferno, the ninth circle of hell, is reserved for traitors.
exactly.
Traitors are in the lowest circle of hell. It's like you're not supposed to be snaking people who are good to you just so you can advance your media career. And that's like why it's so important to think about it in terms of like, these notable figures online, these take sellers online engaging in a media market, because then you have to understand it's like, yeah, he has this incentive, this whispering in his ear that it's like, hey, if you snake your friends and come over to this side, maybe we could get you on the Blaze, or we could get you on Barry Weiss's CBS, because Barry Weiss is over here with Anna Kachin and Chris Rufo and all these people. And so it whispers in their ear, and it's like, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to be loyal to your people and stand by your convictions, whatever that may be? Or are you going to say like denounce yourself and your friends to try to maybe get on CBS?
Totally. Yeah. And it's obviously just like straight up pussy shit, but it's like where are they now and like where is AF now too? Like how
Yep.
short-sighted do you have to be? Like what does that say about a person when they value this like very short-term check from like the Jews instead of their friends in this movement that means something and something that is being built from the ground up, something that is like actually real and authentic.
And it's
It's
so
like you
ironic
just
because
want
they're
to wear a
always talking.
suit. You just want to
It's
wear a
so
fucking suit.
Exactly. And it's so ironic because they're always the ones who are like, as kosher racists, talking about Africans with low time preference, right? They're like, oh, Africa never developed because they have low time preference, because they have seasons. And
Yeah,
like, but it's like, actually, you don't have time. You have low time preference because rather than sticking by your people, you saw an opportunity here and you just sacrificed what you were building for someone giving you a handout. So you can go on John Doyle and be like, oh, Nick Fuentes is really leading these young men down a dark path. It's like, go fuck yourself. You were on this path with us, with them. I always like to maintain, especially in this moment where it's like a lot of Groypers, a lot of Nick fans and whatever have really been very kind to me recently, and I really, really appreciate it. But I always want to maintain, because it's about this kind of like getting lost in the sauce thing, and from my own experience with the BAP sphere, right, where it's like if you get too close you kind of lose your objectivity, you kind of lose yourself. And it's like I always want to maintain that it's like, listen, I'm nice to people who are nice to me, and I'm loyal to people who are loyal to me, and I'm a fucking bitch to people who are bitches to me. But it's like I always want to be like, the Groypers have been nice to me, et cetera, but I didn't come to you guys. I didn't do the what's his name, the Chris Brunette thing, where it's like I go and try to
Totally.
like curry favor with the Groypers just to snake them. I always want to be like, I'm not a Baptist, I'm not a Groyper, I'm Basil, I'm doing my thing. And it's like, because I'm telling you what I believe and I'm being authentic, it's like, yeah, we have so much in common. Let's work together. Let's like help boost each other. It's whatever. But it's never this thing. I never want it to be this thing where it's like someone can say, like, oh, Basil tried to infiltrate the Groypers and take the Groyper. It's like, no, it's like we just like each other because like we're all chill and we all get it and blah, 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 blah. But it's like really this type of thing where it's like, it's like there's nothing. Listen, the Groypers are. It's so funny because I talked to one of my friends who's more skeptical of Nick, right?
Okay.
And he's always like he mentions the Groypers about how like they're so rabid and kind of like a thing. I'm like, that's good. One should want that because the point is, it's like as a take seller, as you or I are both take sellers, right? We're out here in the media market selling our takes or whatever. Even though Nick is on a much higher level than us, fundamentally we're his peers, right? So it's like if say we're all in the music industry, right? Like Kanye or Beyonce or whatever is the biggest act in the world, right? But if you're I don't know, Addison Ray, sure, you're on a much fucking smaller level, but that's actually your peer because you're doing the same thing. But you shouldn't be like, oh, if I do this thing, the fucking beehive is going to come for me or the fucking barbs are going to come for me. It's like, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. You should want your own beehive. You should want your own barbs. You should want your own Groypers, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you related to that because that's how I think of it too. I mean, like at the very beginning, I kind of mentioned like I'm into like the whole like music thing. Love Clairo. My top Spotify artists like Clairo, Maria is Men I Trust. Like, I'm totally into that. And so like I'm not like in the stan culture, but I know about it kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And it's totally relatable. Like it's basically the same thing except it's politics and it means
Yeah, it's it's
something.
it's still entertainment. It's
Yeah.
still we're still engaging in an entertainment business in a media market, right? But it's like it's a politicized media market, right? So what we're selling are not singles and albums. What we're selling are takes, but it's still and like you said, it's connected to the levers of power, so it has actual significance in a way that really doesn't. But because it's still entertainment based, because it still has so much of that those same mechanisms, right? Where it's like these backdoor deals where it's like, oh, why does I'm a huge Nicki Minaj fan. I'm sorry, because I'm a millennial faggot. Sorry. But it's like, okay, why does Megan Thee Stallion come up out of nowhere? It's because, oh, Jay-Z and Rock Nation wanted to pump her up, or Cardi B wanted to pump her up against Nicki. It's like that type of thing is like how you start to understand how the entertainment industry works. The politicized entertainment industry works along very, very similar mechanisms. It's just that instead of it being like Atlantic Records and Rock Nation or whatever, it's like Qatar and Russia and Israel and
Yeah.
like the Mercers and Miriam Adelson and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, kind of like along the same lines, I've always felt like that's our superpower is, like you said, how rabid Groypers are, how dedicated we are. I mean, like that's how I got into it. I saw the Groypers back in like 2018. I was into like Jordan Peterson and like Gavin McInnes and like Faith Goldie
Piece
and
of
stuff like
cases, yeah.
that. And then I found Nick, and instantly, right away, I'm just like, this is just the future. Like this is where it's at. And of course, over the years, it's grown and grown and grown to the point where Nick's over 1 million followers, more rabid fans than ever, more dedicated people than ever. And I'm looking at these different institutions. I'm looking at Heritage, and they're obviously on the back foot after the Tucker shit. And Groypers are getting in there. The Project 2025 stuff in the past election, Groypers are just everywhere at this point. And I'm thinking, I was talking about this on stream the other day. I'm like, what is their play going to be to kind of like, I guess, like try to infiltrate us? Like pull like a reversal and try to infiltrate the infiltrators and weed us out. And I'm just like, they're probably going to turn a few people or try to, and there's going to be some young guys and some Groypers will be in DC and they'll catch them on video saying something or in the group chat like what happened a few weeks ago to that YR group.
Yep.
But it's just there's no way to stop it because we are the stands. Like we are the
Right.
dedicated stands that this is what we live for. This is our life, right?
And
So
it's
it's
like
like,
you guys are agile and flexible and
yeah,
kind of because the thing about the Groypers, it's like
Yeah.
masks on. It's all right, get rid of one, another takes his place because they're not the take seller, they're not Nick, right? They're just the army that supports him and props him. It's like, all right, you got rid of all 10, 15, 20 people, you got rid of 10, 15, 20 more will replace them.
Just
And
instantly
it's like
flood in. Yup.
exactly, it's like because what you guys lack in, you know, institutional support and money and whatever they have, but they are so big it's like they're cumbersome, they can't move, and they're tied up with the strings attached to the money, right, in a way that you're not. And it's like that's going to be your superpower going forward. And it's I'm very hopeful for it. And it's funny too because it's like it's when you're talking about like how rabid the Groypers are and stuff like that, especially like last year when I was like really trying to like map out like the Bronze Age Barry Weiss sphere and connect like, you know, Barry Weiss and Peter Thiel and David Sachs and Mark Andreessen with BAP and Raw Egg Nationalists and Jonathan Keeperman and I Am 1776 and really like and Red Scare and painting this picture and Glenn Greenwald, this picture. I would have Groypers who would be like in my replies being like W Basil, W Basil, W Basil. And I had to be like, listen, I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But you have to understand that when you do that, they get to then say that I'm a Groyper and that I'm doing this just because I'm trying to help Nick. And it's like, listen, it helps Nick, sure, but I'm doing this because I'm like, fuck those people, right? So I'm like, I need you guys to kind of, you know, be tactful. And that's a hard
Tactful,
part when
yeah.
you have like a mob and like stands, right? Because stands and mobs are powerful, but they're not very tactful because their power comes from being able to spam. And I'm like, dude, I need you to not spam me, right? I need you to like, you know, support me from a distance a little bit. You know, I need you to be like, and it's like, and I feel like they kind of got the message because there was a couple of them that I was like, hey, listen, you know, I need you to kind of not be so obvious because if I say this and all the replies are a bunch of, you know, this Groyper, that Groyper, the other Groyper, they're gonna try to discount me. So, and I feel like last year, I don't know, unspokenly, it kind of worked, and now we're at this place where it's like, I think Nick likes me. Where it's like it's very, it's kind of like
totally
out in the
does.
open.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like I'm like every time he shouts me out, I'm like, oh my god, there's definitely some guy who gets paid a full ass fucking salary to like Media Matters and like watch his shit, and they're like, who the fuck is this Basil guy he
Totally.
mentioned?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I told him yesterday that I was having you on. He's like, yo, I love Basil. So I'm like,
hey, let's go,
yeah.
let's go. Pashtun ass people going hard as fuck. I can't, I still have a job. I can't like, you know, I gotta be careful.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Groypers, let Basil cook. Okay. Let him cook. Just let him cook.
Be like, we
Um,
share and whatever, especially on the YouTube shit. Like, leave a comment. But like, but nowadays, now this is last year. Nowadays, I'm like, it's totally fine. It's like, I love the Groypers love me. But like a year ago, especially, I was like really trying to maintain that thing where it's like, listen, I'm not a Baptist, but I'm not a Groyper. And I think like now we kind of all get it. But it's like, we're all good now. We can all love each other out in the open.
Totally. Now I kind of want to dive into the Dasha stuff a little bit. Because I know that you fucking hate Dasha and you don't, and you hate Red Scare, and I get the whole BAP connection, thing. I saw a clip the other day where you're just going off on Dasha and Anna. I was kecking. I was laughing so hard.
Get fired,
Um,
bitch.
yeah. And maybe like just kind of fill me in on the details because I don't know all the details about it. You know, I know like the base level like connection that's going on there. But it seems like you really fucking hate her. So
Well,
I'm kind of curious.
it's like it's I play it up. Like I don't really
Okay.
have hate in my heart. Like, you know, it's like, but I do hate what they tried to do to me. And I'll give you like I'll give you the real
Oh yeah,
backstory.
they played like a big role in you getting like docs or
Trying to
something,
get me
right?
fired. Yeah, they
Okay,
doxed me
okay.
and tried to get me fired and all this shit. So I'll give you the real backstory, right? Because the whole thing is like when I was going really hard on them like a year and a half ago and really like spelling out like Barry Weiss, you know, Peter Thiel, da 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 da. Lots of people know that shit. You know, like Second City Bureaucrat and, you know, Howling Mutant, they know this shit just as well as I do. But they don't have an incentive to go out and be messy on the timeline because they're like, well, you know, maybe I'll get put on. Maybe I'll get a show at HBO. Maybe I'll get a show on CBS, whatever the fuck case may be, right? But it's like I had an incentive because they were fucking cunts to me. And how this worked was, like I said, I started around like 2018, 2019, and I was listening to Red Scare. I was listening to Amy Therese, those types of people. It was the whole like post left moment, right? And I was doing this whole like TQ thing, the trans question as like a litmus test, because it was like this post-left thing, right? So it was like a bunch of people saying we're not really leftists, we're not with, we liked Bernie, but we're not with this bullshit. So it was like, how do you cleave off the people who are really about to break off and join Trump, and the people who are like still connected to the Democrats? And I was like, it's the trans question. Ask someone, can a man be a woman? Right? So people like the Chapo Trap House people, Carl Bezier, those type of people, they could not say trans women are men. It was a beautiful litmus test. It still is. Right? So at that time, I understand like from that, for them, they're like, who the fuck is this guy who's come out of nowhere and is like annoying us? And I would be like so respectful. I'd be like, hey, good point, but did you also realize like this is connected to the Civil Rights Act and da 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 and all this shit? So I get that it was annoying, but I was genuinely trying to help, right? Because these are the people I was listening to, whatever, whatever, whatever. Now, early on, some of them liked me. There's this fat faggot called the Perfume Nationalist. They brought me into their group chat and they liked me because the whole TQ stuff hurt their rivals. People like you know, some in the audience might know this, like Class Redux Killa and the Fed Post. Like he ended up getting put up on Tucker Carlson and having a mental breakdown. It was very funny. Or like this guy River Page, who now works for Barry Weiss's The Free Press. They liked that the TQ made them look foolish, but because I was authentic and they were coming from this era of like ironic detachment, they were being cynical when they were like, when I was like, okay, they're out of the way, they're done, they're whatever. They had all these like trans freaks and whatever. I was like, listen, like this is a political litmus test issue, right? So then they hated me and they like smeared me and like excommunicated me, all this shit. And at that time, I didn't understand how the media market worked at that time. So I was like so confused. I was like, wait, am I off the mark? Like, what's going on? Why are they fucking coming for me this hard? And it turns like I now realize like why is because I was upsetting their bag. I was frustrating their bag. You know, it's like it made it uncomfortable if someone like me was always like, hey, why are you promoting this trans person? What's going on here? You know? So now from then on, which was like 2021, for like 3 years, what they would do is behind the scenes, as I was coming up and having like 10, 20 counts like fucking deleted, whatever, still the brand was fucking strong. I could come back in one day and have 1,000 followers because the brand was strong. It's like, oh, it's that guy who talks like that and is that Afghan guy. I get that. That's him. That's Basil. So what they would do is they would go behind the scenes and they would be like, oh, block this guy. He's so crazy. He's a stalker. He's obsessed. And it's like, the thing is, it's like, I critique like 10 to 15 to 20 different take sellers at any given moment. But the fact is that they're in a bunch of like interconnected group chats, overlapping group chats. So they all commiserate with each other like, Basil's crazy. And so they really convince themselves like I'm obsessed with them. It's like, dude, it's not my fault that you're all like different parts of the same patronage network. Like it's not like whatever. I'm just like doing me. So this leads to comes to a head last spring. So Claremont and IM 1776 host this event at Sovereign House, which is like this venue in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I get invited to it. Or I asked if I could go, and they said yes. Right? I was like, I'm not paying for a ticket, whatever. Or actually, no, I did pay for a ticket. I was like, I paid for a ticket, let me go. So I go, and right before the event starts, this guy, Moldovan citizen, who like manages the property, comes up and he's like, yeah, you talk too much shit about Anna. You got to get out of here. And I was like, what? I was like, are you kicking me out? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that's fucking crazy. I was like, bet. I go down to a different bar. I spend the night fucking plotting on these hoes. So what happens is that night, Pariah the doll, in order to flex on me, posts a picture of herself as the centerfold in the magazine, kind of being like, oh, you got kicked out of the event, but I'm in their magazine, right? To flex on me. Good job, bitch. Good fucking job, because that kicked off Tranny That kicked off like the why is there a tranny in man's world? Da 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 da. So that was kind of the beginning of the end for really BAP specifically, and Man's World, because now Man's World is not published by Passage Press anymore. So what I was saying earlier was like other people knew of all these connections between Man's World and Passage Press and Peter Thiel and Elena Velez and Barry Weiss and all this stuff, but they all never had a reason to be messy. And I'm like, oh, you want to give me a reason to be messy? Let's get fucking messy, bitch. So I just spent all that time like being messy, being like, oh, weren't you at this event that was sponsored by these people? And oh, you're in this magazine, and oh, in Urban and Portugal and this and that, the other thing. So that's why eventually then what happened was one of their fans doxed me, emailed my work, right? And my work was like being like, wow, what's a groiper? Who's Nick Fuentes? You know, it's like all this shit. And then eventually Martin doxed me. All of this shit, they keep emailing my job trying to get me fired. So that's why I have this personal animus where I'm like, not only is it that you're like doing this kosher racism shit, but me specifically, you tried to ruin my life and ruin my career and all this shit. So it's like, yeah, it is a fuck you and fuck your whole fucking crew.
Hell yeah, hey, I totally get it. Yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine. That's
I got
always
called
like a
into
shitty
HR.
thing.
I got called
So, yeah.
into HR 3 times in 3 months. The first time
Damn.
was so funny because I ended up like explaining like Basilisms to them. I'm like, yeah, tech defense, pharma finance, and the trans question and the media market. And then by the third time, I was like, these people who are saying that I'm a white nationalist and a far right, whatever, they pretend to be Nazis online. They call me a brown sand nigger faggot. And I said that in front of my HR lady, and they're like, And one of the emails that they sent, they're like, oh, yeah, Basil sells videos of himself masturbating on the internet. And first of all, when they said that, I like disassociated. I was like, first of all, that's obviously fake because no one would buy it. And then my boss is like, true. And I was like, damn, the fuck? I was like, someone would buy it? Like, what are you talking about?
There's got to be somebody out there, dude.
He's like, no, that's a good point. I was like, okay, all right. But, everything works out the way it's supposed to. God is the greatest of all planners. I didn't get fired, but the vibe was kind of chopped. So I left and I ended up making like 50% more. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I didn't know like that whole story. It gets like so messy. I've never been in like a crazy like sitch like that. The craziest thing for me was when I was like first starting streaming. It was like during COVID, like 3 months in, and I was working at Urban Outfitters at the time. And I knew that it was inevitable that, like, if I'm gonna start going off online about me being like far right wing and bitching about BLM and stuff, it's inevitable that I will be fired. But it happened pretty quick. And yeah, just like everything just started to like calm down and everybody's attacking me. I'm getting DMs from people who like I spoke to like maybe twice at a party before, and they're sending me paragraphs and essays about how you're so bigoted and da 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 da. And it's always been insane to me how I guess like catty the online political sphere can be, and like the crossing over between like normies and online people. I guess that they just like don't get it kind of thing. Um but yeah, that's kind of the
They act
craziest
they
thing that
act
I've
like
been through.
middle
That
school.
sounds like way more shitty.
It's insane to me that someone's like, oh, well,
Hilton
the
Grow
sales
just
rep
gifted
at
one
Urban
subscription
Outfitters
on
thinks
Kick.
this. I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, is he folding the clothes properly? Like, what the fuck? Like, who cares? It's like,
Yeah.
for me, they're like, oh, well, he's a racist, whatever. It's like, okay, fine, like, whatever. Like, um, but it's funny because it's like, especially the BAP sphere, but almost everywhere. It's really everywhere across the entertainment industry or whatever, the media market, whatever, is that they do behave like middle school girls. It's
Straight
about
up, yeah.
character assassination and smear campaigns and whisper campaigns. I had like 10 people independently tell me, it's like, oh yeah, Jack and Filthy Armenian, they told me whenever you came up to block you that you were crazy. And it's like, you seem pretty chill. It's like, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's the fucking point that I'm trying to make, is like that they're like smearing me. Even Anna did that, where it's like the whole thing that popped off was like, she was like, she tweeted, she's like, you could tell the true character of a person not by what they say, but how they conduct themselves behind the scenes. Like, do they engage in smear campaigns? And I was like, I quote, she was like, that's fucking hilarious, because I've seen the screenshots of you, because I got little birdies everywhere. I'm in all of your fucking group chats where it's like, oh, I am scared of Basil, blah, blah, blah. She's like, and then she replies, she's like, I am scared of you. You cornered me twice in public. And I was like, oh, so now you're trying to Me Too me. Okay. And if anyone knows anything about Red Scare, they became popular in 2015 because they had a critique of Me Too. They defended Harvey Weinstein because they were like, oh, Me Too is like about women trying to advance their careers. They were correct, right? But now 10 years later, when you've done nothing else other than promote Pariah the doll. You're now trying to Me Too me. Why? Because I saw you once outside of a Morrissey concert where I didn't know you were going to be there, and I saw you again at Sovereign House when you said hello to me. Like, you were the one who engaged with me. Like, get the fuck out of here, bitch. It was so fucking annoying. And then it was funny because it was like Dasha was like, you did give me the creeps too outside of Morrissey. I was like, yeah, molested bitches have a notoriously bad judge of character.
Yeah, I don't know Anna or Dasha or anything, but yeah, that's how women are.
That's how they are.
That is how they are. That's the
Even when
woman
they make
question
their
straight up.
career, even when they make their career about being anti Me Too, when it's like about like, can I knife this person in the media market? Oh, hashtag Me Too, hashtag Me Too. It's like, bitch, you think I'm stalking a woman? At least make it believable, bitch. Make it believable. Be like, oh, he's stalking our hot white male friends. Like, all right, people would fucking believe it. But it's like, oh, he's stalking us girls. It's like, bitch, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be around you, bitch. Like,
Yeah, dude, that sounds fucked up. Yeah, I was always just like curious about that because I hear the clips of you going off on them, again, I get how it is with the more political stuff, but on like a personal level, yeah, that's just
yeah,
insane.
it's
That's
fucked
some
up. It's
insane
fucked up.
shit,
We should
dude.
not be like emailing and that's the thing is like emailing each other's bosses, pretending to be libs about how like, oh, they're so bigoted. It's like, it's so like fucked up and twisted and evil. It's like, at the end of the day, though, it proved my point that I'm a privileged person because when I could be like, I'm a white nationalist. It's like, it's ridiculous on its face. And it went to go prove my point that it's like, yeah, someone like me being able to stand 10 toes down and say, deport 40 million, sexual orientation should not be in the Civil Rights Act, gender identity should not be in the Civil Rights Act, Jewish supremacism and Jewish chauvinism is a real problem in this country. I get to then weaponize when I'm talking to my lib HR department and be like, girl, me, I'm brown. What are you talking about? It's like there's a utility in that.
Totally. Yeah. Now, kind of along the same lines here, it ties into the whole Dasha conversion, I guess. Um, what do you think about this whole like left right wing alliance that's kind of been going on, where we get these socialist content creators or even just IRL socialists that kind of seem to be moving into the online right wing spaces. I've always been a bit sus about it, but at the same time, I do get it for like the genuine ones. Like I can see that connection of like, I always bring up like Piker, Hassan
That's on.
Piker on stream, because like I look at his followers and I'm like, they're kind of like actually like really close. Like if they just drop the anti-white shit and they see that Jews are like a different ethnicity from white people, then like you're kind of there. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of at Groiperism. Besides like the economic stuff, I guess. But in terms of like Israel, in terms of like the power structure,
Well, even the
um,
economic stuff too. It's like like the Groypers are
I guess
protectionists.
kind
They're
of.
not
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not free marketists. Like, they don't have like a huge big deal about healthcare. It's like they're not like, normie
I'm pro
con.
universal healthcare. So yeah, I
Yeah,
guess you're
it's
right.
like
Yeah.
I was until COVID, and then I'm like, you have to be able to do it where it's like you can't ration it
No
based on
black
race, where
people.
white people don't get, treatment.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but no, I think there are two aspects to it, right? Because there is the take seller content creator aspect to it, and then there's the masses, their audience, right? And it's like when it comes to people like Dasha and Anna, it's like I follow the same trajectory as them from that post left to the dissident right sphere. But for them, as the take sellers, we didn't know at the time, and what they would lie about was that them and BAP were always part of the same patronage network. They were always just two different departments of the same company, right? Like one of them is accounting and one of them is marketing. It's like they were always meant to converge in this way, even back in 2018, right? So that's like from that perspective. But then when I see people like, Anna Kasparian, or even now Ryan Grimm or Glenn Greenwald, those are the take sellers. What I think is what Nick is doing, and what is important to do, is to focus on outflanking the take sellers and Hassan Piker or whatever, is where it's like do the thing where it's like you're critical of Israel, but then also outflank them on the economic stuff. So then they have nothing. They have no brand. So then you can start absorbing their audience in this way that you're right. They're almost there. They just have to drop certain kind of priors. And the way that you drop the priors is by you explaining about the Civil Rights Act. And you say like, it's like, first of all, if we lived in a white supremacist country or society, you would not be able to say that we live in a white supremacist society. The fact that you are able to say that prove, because if we did, they would crack down on that. There was a reason why we cracked down when you say we have a problem of Jewish chauvinism and Jewish supremacism, because we have a problem of Jewish chauvinism and Jewish supremacism, right? So it's like, it's important for someone like Nick, and what I think Nick will be doing in the future is like kind of diversifying the take selling thing. So it's like, it's not just him. It's like, yeah, he will always be the anchor take seller, but I think that he will then produce a crop up an army of other things where it's like, all right, you have Cenk Uygur, but then you also have Anna Kasparian and all these people and Sam Cedar and whatever. It's like one is the anchor, but it's like he has a network around him. So I don't think it's really that necessary to really convince the normie audience or the lefty audience of coming on board. It's about outflanking the take sellers so that they have nothing. And what's interesting is like, this is kind of like a replay, because we had this in 2016, 2017, where you had this kind of like trying to do a populist right and populist left thing with like because I was a Bernie guy in the primary and voted for Trump in the general. Right. So there were lots of people like that.
Totally, yeah.
But at that time, it was the populist left that was in charge, right? They were the dominant force, and then the whatever right populists there were, like Pedro Gonzalez at the time type of people, they were kind of like the junior partner. Now it's going to be the right populists who are the senior partner, and the left populists like the Anna Kasparians or the Ryan Grimms or whatever being the junior partner. And that will only work if we use two litmus tests at the same time. The Jewish supremacism litmus test and the trans question litmus test. Because it's, if you think about it, people coming from two directions, right? People coming from the right and people coming from the left. The people coming from the right, we apply the Jewish supremacism litmus test. We say, okay, what do you think about Barry Weiss? What do you think about Ben Shapiro? What do you think about Daily Wire? What do you think about TPUSA? That type of thing. And we make them say with their whole chest, yes, we have an issue of Jewish supremacism, blah, 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 blah. Make them say it with their whole chest. So that way it's like, by saying it, they cut themselves off from it. Because if you have someone coming from the right and say like, yeah, Ben Shapiro's interests are Israel only, Barry Weiss is a spy, whatever the fuck it is, they will never be able to work for Barry Weiss or Ben Shapiro. But that's okay. That's good. You're going to come with us. But if you're coming from the left, they could talk about that shit all the time because they're used to having a critique of Israel. So we can't use what we use as a litmus test? The trans question. We say, hey, can you really quick, are trans women men or women? And if they can't, they squirm and they worm. Or even more basic, let's make it less incendiary. Should gender identity expression be recognized in the law? If you can't say no, then you're not on our team, because you'll always have this kind of connection back to the Democrats, right? And the reason why I say that is because the reason why we're censored, how we're censored on the internet, is by the Civil Rights Act. So through the Civil Rights Act, in your workplace, through HR departments, they have to conform to the Civil Rights Act, Title VI and Title VII. Terms of service online, the Kick, Twitch, Twitter, or whatever, they are also conforming to the Civil Rights Act. That's the template that they use to form like what is abusive behavior, what is harassment, blah, 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 like Twitch and shit like that. So that is the expansion of the Civil Rights Act. So if you can't even get to the point where it's like you're rejecting the most recent expansion, then you're on the team with AOC and blah, 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 blah. You cannot be on board with us, because at the end of the day, then you always have this kind of loaded weapon in your pocket to point at our face to try to cancel us. Because then when we say things like gender identity expression shouldn't be recognized in law, gay marriage isn't real, gays shouldn't be able to adopt children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you're gonna be like, whoa, 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 I was on board with you with the Israel thing, but this is bigoted. It's like, no, go fuck yourself. So it's about dual wielding these litmus tests so that we could actually create a kind of populist redux, but in a way that we are in control and we are disabusing them of the idea that they could cancel us.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. I was just talking about this like the other day, actually, about how many Bernie people actually voted for Trump. And
Yeah.
I think that the vast majority of people out there, the vast majority of the voter base, it's really simple, especially now. they are getting absolutely raped and pillaged when it comes to their everyday lives, whether it's just like grocery prices, whether it's, women bitching at them all day, their bosses bitching at them. Like people just want to like be able to live and make jokes with their friends, get their bag. And when you just like reduce it down to like these things, as you said, it really should be like that's it. That is the winning strategy. And
And let me give you, hold on really quick. Let me give your audience some rhetorical tools, right? Because when you say that, a leftist who's coming like an Anna Kasparian or whatever, they'll be like, that's culture war. That's a distraction. We're only
yeah,
worried about economic populist things. You know what you say to them? You say because the Civil Rights Act through the Bostock, which is a Supreme Court case, now incorporates gender identity expression. That means that health insurance companies have to cover gender affirming care. That is a working class material issue because we're taking money from working class people and giving it to the insurance companies so that they could pay for breast implants for men and jaw shavings for men. Secondly, because of that same reason, your kids, working class people, rely on public schools to teach their kids. Because of the Civil Rights Act expansion based on Bostock, those public schools are required to teach your kids that people, up to and including them, can be born in the wrong body. God forbid your kid believes that and says, hey, I'm born in the wrong body, and you as a parent don't affirm. Guess what? The state can take your kid away. That is a working class material populist issue. It is not culture war. And that's something that the left always try to, why do you care? You're so weird for caring. No, it's working class. It's based on censorship. It's based on transferring wealth from working class people to the pharmaceutical industry. And it's about empowering the state to break up families. There is nothing more materialist, working class populist than that.
totally. Yeah, chat, you heard it here. W rhetorical tools with Basil. Somebody's saying in chat, 110%, dude. Now you mentioned censorship. This is one of the topics I want to talk with you about. Um, Going into 28, obviously we're kind of like on edge over. I mean, you've been banned. I've been banned a bunch of times. Nick has been like deplatformed like nobody else has. And I am kind of worried that we're kind of reaching a peak here where they're just going to shut it off, where they're just going to turn it off, got too close to the sun. And, there's always the Streisand effect when it comes to stuff like that. But I still see it as the most effective way for them to thwart dissident right-wing politics that is just taken over every single social media. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately when it comes to just them like spying on us, whether it's the Palantir stuff, like Pegasus, like looking at your phone. And I am kind of fearful that this will happen pre 28, or if a Democrat gets in 28, they're just going to fucking shut it down and come at us harder than we've ever seen before. Kind of curious on your thoughts where you see the whole censorship atmosphere going. Do you think that we're due for like a run back of like a 2020 scenario? Or do you think that we're kind of in the clear, like it's reached this point where it's too big, they can't just turn it off, we're kind of like in the clear?
I don't know because it's hard to say because it's like I resist saying it's too big. I think that it's totally because if you think about it, really, it's like it's almost like kind of back in the day when they used to be like, oh, there was only three channels on TV. It's like it kind of really is. It's like it's only Twitter, Facebook, which Instagram, Kick, Twitch, Cozy TV. I mean, if we're like really trying to like pull for like, it's like really like at that point, it's like I can barely make it to my second hand to count things. It's not that many platforms that we have that we are able to communicate with each other. So it wouldn't be difficult for them. And when you say about like Palantir, and I think about 2020, I think about being in 2020 and barely being able to keep my job, even though I'm pure blooded, right? Because the only reason I was able to was because the government agencies were so inefficient in being able to track and monitor our health data, whether we were vaccinated or whatever. And it's like, that's why it makes me sick to my stomach when we were talking about Palantir a couple months ago, and people be like, well, it's already a thing. They don't know everything. Who cares about Palantir? Palantir is actually based and blah, blah, blah. It's like, do you think if God forbid they did that shit again, why do you want them to be more efficient? You know, it's
Exactly.
like it's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
because of the inefficiencies that I was able to keep my job. If there's now a broad-based data sharing between the federal government and the state governments and whatever, and tracking our health data, it'll only be more efficient the next time they try to be like, oh, well, monkeypox is an epidemic or something now, whatever the case may be. So I think that Republicans will get blown out in the midterms, and then from that point, I don't know. I could easily see them because these people are duplicitous snakes, right? Tech cooperated with the state and the Democrats in 2020, and they only came over to Trump when they were like, "Oh, we think the Democrats have a losing brand. Trump is probably more likely to win, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." So we'll dump money. So it's like I could easily see them like cooperating with the state again to kind of shut it down because it's like it's the same thing where it's like there's this kind of like there is this kind of low IQ anti-Semitism thing where they'll be like, oh, it's because they're Jewish, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like Peter Thiel isn't Jewish, right? The reason why Peter Thiel is tied up with the Bronze Age Barry Weiss sphere is because he has defense and surveillance contracts that run through Israel, right? So it's not that he's a hand-rubbing ethno-narcissist. It's that he has a material interest in us giving a carte blanche to Israel's war aims in the region. Right. So it's like I could very easily, they're shifty. They could switch back and forth. And I think that's why it's so important for us to, you know, do this thing that Nick is doing with the America First Foundation and kind of like we were saying earlier, have this synergy between online and in real life where it's like, if you are a credentialed person, if you are a competent person, you should be finding ways to network within your local community with like-minded individuals. Shout out to my friend Metaprime, who's always talking about this, right? Where it's like fraternal networks, that type of thing. You should be doing that now where while we have the freedom to communicate with each other, like, and it all goes together. You shouldn't be LARPing. You shouldn't be lost in the sauce. You shouldn't be edgy for edgy's sake. You should stand 10 toes down on the things that are like legitimate political positions. So that way you can connect with people where it's like, oh, such and such is a Fed, such and such is a Fed. I'm like, okay, even if such and such is a Fed, it's like, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not like
Totally.
I'm not pretending to be a Nazi. This is why it's like you shouldn't be the boogeyman that the state uses to censor people. Right before Trump won, what was the state doing? They were saying that we're going to crack down on white supremacists. The thing then is not to be like, well, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a Nazi, it's like, no, it's saying I'm not those things. I'm a normal person who wants to deport illegal immigrants and roll back the Civil Rights Act. Those are legitimate political positions to have. So if you don't get lost in the sauce in that way and you kind of stay grounded in reality, what we should be doing is taking advantage of this freedom that we have so that we can create those in real life networks that synergize with the internet. So that way, even if it clamps down on us again, we have something rooted in the real world that can still kind of make its way and still do what it needs to do.
Yeah, dude, I tell people pretty much exactly that all the time. Like, I'm like, dude, there's always people in chat who ask me, like, why don't you stream on like weekends? I'm like, because I'm touching grass and I'm talking to people and I'm doing shit, dude. And like,
Totally.
I've always seen streaming as like, I love it. And I stream Monday through Friday and, I make money from it. It's sick. I love it. But it's always been a means to an end for politics. And there's so many people out there. Like I look at the Wingnats. The Wingnats are probably the best example of this, where they get, as you said, so lost in the sauce. We get people like Handsome Truth or Gypsy Crusader. And I'm looking at this shit. I'm looking at like Goyim TV, and it's just like the most like ill-adjusted parasocial freaks that you could even imagine. And they just get so caught up in it. And it's like, do you not realize you're hurting what you
It's
claim
like,
to be
what are we
trying to
doing this
do? It's
for? Yeah,
exactly.
keep that in mind. What we're trying to do is like create bountiful, fruitful, prosperous lives for ourselves. You know what I tell people all the time? Secure a bag. First
Totally.
and foremost, right? Because before you could even, the only reason, like in 2026, I'm also going to be doing this thing with like 5 of my closest friends I met from the internet. Thank God, like like my closest like dudes that are local to me, and we're gonna do like a super PAC, and we're gonna be focused on Jersey first and like all this shit. Like it's gonna be very whatever, but it's like I could only do that because I have a bag and I'm not worried about like, so I'm able to like throw some money here or there or do whatever. It's like, what should you be doing, white man? You should be getting a bag, getting credentialed, meeting your mutuals, being normal, being successful, getting handsome, do all that shit. Because you know what? it's like especially if you want to do take selling shit. But I always say the fucking biggest mistake I ever made was not getting fit before I started doing this take selling shit because I would have sucked and fucked my way to the top already. But it's like, that's the thing is like you should be getting a bag, getting fit, meeting your mutuals, being normal, so that way you can then take this stuff that we're learning and talking about and doing here and effectuate it in real life in a way that insulates you from, when they crack down on white nationalists, you could be like, I'm not a white nationalist, I'm a Republican. It's like whatever the case may be. It's like that's the kind of way that's the real optics war, right? Because Nick, that was all before my time. I have no idea what was going on back then. But it's like what Nick we said earlier has done is like blown a fucking hole in the discourse so that we could say with our whole chest and not be ashamed and be like, we're not hateful people. We understand that white men are a legally oppressed minority in this country because of the Civil Rights Act. We understand that this ethno-religious group is allowed to organize themselves based on their race and their religion in a way that we don't allow white men to, right? And it's like I could say it with my whole chest. I could say it in front of my HR department. I could say all of that. It's like, so I think that's what's important. It's like to always remember, it's like to not get so caught up and lost in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we do have to get winding it down here. I want to take some questions from the chat if you're cool with that.
Totally, I love it.
Hey chat, you don't have to power chat or anything. That's totally fine. Just put it in the live chat. Any questions you have for Basil or
but
for
you
both
should.
of us.
If you got a couple shekels to spare,
yeah,
you
hey,
definitely should.
You can totally power chat if you want. You can send in kick subs if you want. But I just want as many questions to pick from as possible here. And then on the looks maxing point, I gotta head to the gym at 5.
Absolutely.
So
I saw earlier someone said in the chat LGBs without the T's. And I want to make a really quick point about that. I am not an LGB without the T, right? Because I always say I'm not gay TM for that, because it's like I'm opposed to sexual orientation in the Civil Rights Act. I'm against gay marriage. I'm against gays adopting kids. I'm not on PrEP. I just don't fuck black guys. So it's like because the thing is like PrEP. If you're on PrEP is subsidized by the taxpayer. Right? So you are then using your sexual identity to get a legal privilege. So all the LGBs without the T's, all the homocons that you see around, those are leftists. They're not being anti-left. They're dragging the Republican Party to the left. And that's not why the Republicans now are pro Caitlyn Jenner and pro Peter Thiel and pro Scott Bessent. All these motherfuckers love to clown on Dave Rubin. It's easy to hate Dave Rubin. Do you have the courage to hate Scott Bessent? Do you have the courage to hate Peter Thiel? Because they have adopted kids too, and God knows what they're doing with them.
Dude, facts. Yeah. The whole dude, so many people who are part of the BAP crowd or whatever, or just like these climbers within the GOP in their 20s, they all fucking glaze Peter Thiel and they all bitch about gayness taking over the GOP. I'm like, hello, dude. Like Peter Thiel is
it's
like
not just
the
gayness.
gay
This
elite
motherfucker
guy.
has children.
He's out here killing his boyfriends and shit. It's like, yeah.
Oh, allegedly. I wish I was like a 15-year-old twink. I would have been the head of the fucking GOP by now.
Okay, hey, we got 1,000 kicks from Sammy. He says, bruh, his question is,
Sammy Vivo just gifted
what's
1,000
Basil's
kicks on
craziest
Kick.
sexlectics
What's Basil's
discovery?
craziest sexlectics discovery?
Okay, let's see. There's a couple of them. Oh, so if you're familiar with the War Room and Stephen Bannon's The War Room, there's this guy Benjamin Roberts. They had an event, America 2100 and the War Room had an event at Sovereign House. After that event, Benjamin Roberts fucked my tranny friend. So enjoy that one.
Damn. The soundboard's going off, dude. Chat, you heard it here first. W. Sammy, thank you for the question. Liner was asking you about, it's a running joke on my stream to ask guests about Claro. You have any thoughts? That's Lineart's question. Great question, Lineart. Very thoughtful.
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm an old
you gotta
head.
check her out. She's great. She's fantastic.
I will check her out. If you saw my not even Spotify, I'm a fucking old head. My iTunes Wrapped or whatever the fuck it is.
iTunes is crazy.
Nick was like third worldist. I was like, yo, let the Browns be brown. I was like, it's like Nicki Minaj, fucking Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato. I'm like, I'm never beating the allegations.
You know what? I did see that. I saw your post actually. Yeah, yeah. I was like, this is kind of the gayest thing I've ever seen.
It's like the
That's
gayest
true.
millennial thing in the world. It's like
Yup.
so like old head gay, whatever. I am who I am. I am who I am.
True. Got to be authentic.
Authenticity. That's the thing.
Authenticity. Okay, do we have? Okay, can you ask like good questions, chat? The questions that it's just like totally retarded.
You would be gripping absolutely like a retard holding a pencil.
And that's just my chat. That's just how chat goes. What are Basil's general thoughts on Myron given the recent developments? We kind of talked about this a little bit, but
Snake shit.
yeah, just
I think the
total
other
snake.
one's a fucking idiot. The other one is a fucking idiot, and he has this fucking like African twinge to the way he speaks. It's so fucking disgusting. I hate it. But Myron, that was snake shit, and he's alluded to something about Thanksgiving. I have no idea, but I'm like, bitch, if it is something as petty as like I didn't get invited to Thanksgiving or some shit, you're a fucking snake.
It's even worse. It's even worse. So
Oh
he
my
brought up
God.
the Thanksgiving thing because Ye asked Nick to go out to LA for Thanksgiving, right?
Based, cool,
And
lit.
Nick goes and he's hanging out with Ye on Thanksgiving. And Myron's whole point is that Milo still talks to Ye too. So he's trying to equate himself to Ye.
You are not Ye.
Yeah, right?
This is the thing. This is the thing. People don't understand. Like when it's like Aravol came for fucking. It was like, oh, I just asked Nick a question. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You are not Nick. Nick is the guy who's carrying the baton and is in the lead. What you should be doing is circling the wagons the way that we did when your porn came out. But instead, you have to be like, think of yourself as on par with him and be like, well, I'm just asking. Go fuck yourself. If you're snaking someone, you're a fucking bitch. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
Fuck
dude,
that guy.
it's totally insane.
I don't
saw
trust a
that
lot
clip
of the
today. I'm
take
just
sellers
like,
around Nick.
sorry, what?
I don't trust a lot of the take sellers around Nick, especially like those like
Yeah.
big streamers and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't like whatever. It's not my business. Do what, but it's like, I wouldn't fucking trust them. I trust the people who like, you know, are not take sellers who I don't know. That shit is so it shows a very deep misunderstanding of the moment that we're in and a very short-sightedness and a selfishness and a self-absorption that is very volatile and dangerous to have around. Because you just want to make a fucking
110%,
point.
dude.
You just want to make a fucking point. Go shove your point up your fucking ass.
Dude,
Anyway.
straight up. I've had it up to here with like all these adjacent take sellers. I'm gonna have to start saying that. You said it so much. I like that a lot. I'm gonna have to start to say that.
Thank you.
Um,
And just to define it really quickly, like what a take seller is, because it's like some people are like, oh, they're grifters. Like grifter has too much negative connotation. A take seller is someone who goes online and sells takes. You know, my hot take about this, my hot take about that, in order to direct their audience to some sort of value extraction, whether it's like super chats or subscribe to my podcast or my Patreon or whatever. It's a value neutral term. And I think it really captures what it is in a way that like, oh, they're grifters. It sounds like you're bitching and complaining. It's like, no, they're just a take seller. They're responding to incentives in the market, whatever the fucking the case may be, you know? But yeah, I love that. Thank you.
yeah. I've always just called them like adjacents, I guess. And it totally popped off like around the whole ban the ADL thing I found, where just like all these different people came in. And I do like some of them. You know, I've talked with some of them. I've hung out with them at AFPAC and stuff. People like Lucas Gage or Jake Shields, you know, like I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
But like it's just people in that sphere that is kind of like not AF adjacent, and they're just like on Twitter all day. There was the
They're
gambling
drama
thing that
channels.
they
They're
were.
like,
They're
yeah.
drama channels, exactly. Yeah, and I'm just like, you know, this is
Nick
it's
is
kind
doing
of
something
entertainment
serious.
before politics. It's like I don't know. I'm here to be like fucking. I mean, I make jokes.
If you have a
and
bunch of
whatever, but I'm here to be
prostitutes and
serious.
sluts, if your thing is like having a bunch of prostitutes and sluts to laugh at, you're not fucking serious.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Not everyone has to be serious, right? But you have to not fucking be an impediment. You have to not get in the
Yes.
way. Right. And it's the same type of thing that I have with like Christian TM take sellers, you know, like Tradcast or whatever. It's like, I understand that when we're doing politics, you're part of the coalition, right? Because you're a significant voting block. But that's only insofar that you don't make yourself a poison pill. So like, I remember right before the election when Trump said that he wasn't going to do a federal abortion ban, a bunch of these like Christians were like, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump. fuck no, bitch. You better crack that fucking whip and get the fucking line, because it's like, I'll defend you, but not if you're gonna be a fucking poison pill, not if you're gonna fuck up the fucking gravy train, not if you're gonna fuck up the flow, you know?
Oh yeah, dude, totally. The Tradcath e-girls. I'd probably take that a step further and just say especially the Tradcath e-girls. I can't stand it lately, dude. They are just the biggest whores. And
If you are a
I
trad woman, why are you speaking? Timothy
dude,
2:12. Timothy 2:12. Suffer not a woman to teach or preach. She is to be
yeah.
silent.
Yeah. And like I hear things. I'm tapped in. I know some of the, and I'm not gonna name any names because I don't want to do the whole drama thing. I've never been like a drama person.
Normal men
But
should be messy like that. Leave it to the faggots.
yeah. But like there's some of these e-girls that are on the TL and they're like saying that they're a virgin, and I'm just like, I know like fucking 3 guys that have banged you. But like their whole
A
brand is
woman
like, I'm
in
the
America, a
Tradcath
virgin.
e-girl.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and I've had it up to fucking here with that shit, dude. It is, yeah, the Tradcath scene. And like, hey, obviously like that's a big part of the movement. But like there has to be some kind of like level of dialogue there where we can call out these things. It's like
There has
you
to be
can't just
certain
use
bright
this as an
red lines.
aesthetic. You're like,
Exactly. There
yeah,
has to be certain red lines. You know what it is? It's, are you punching right? Right? Because
yeah,
it's like, okay, there's nothing
totally.
wrong with being a woman take seller, but if you're gonna be Lauren Southern and then say, oh, I'm gonna start punching right because they're saying repeal the 19th, then we got to say, go fuck yourself.
It's
Right?
so
Because now,
feminist now. Yeah, it's all just feminism. It's feminism with a
Mhm.
different skin. It's
And that's the thing. It's like, that's the problem with like based blacks, based gays, based women, is because we all know that at any point you could then take that identity and weaponize it. You could say, oh, actually, the right has a misogyny problem. Or you know what? They're being that black guy when all the goipers were calling him a faggot. I forgot what his name was. They're like, the right has a homophobia problem, or the right is racist. Like, that's why they don't trust you, and they're right not to trust you.
totally. Yeah. You're probably talking about Rob Smith. Was it Rob
Yes,
Smith?
that
Yeah.
one. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. When am I gonna get flown out to Qatar? The fuck?
Yeah, right.
I love Qatar. I love Doha. Love that shit.
Let's
Fly me
go.
out.
Okay, chat. Any last minute questions? Do we have any? Maybe like Joanne says thoughts on Andrew Anglin.
You know, that's so funny. It's kind of goes back to like where it's like I came in 2018, 19. I came in 2018, 2019. I had no idea I never heard of his name until last night's stream. And
Okay.
obviously I've heard of Stormfront, but I didn't know all that stuff. So it's like, I'm so grateful that I don't know, but I have to go read the lore and catch up on the lore. So I don't have a take yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't trust him based off of last night's stream. I'm very suspicious.
Yeah. There's totally some sus stuff that's going on with him. He crashed out like a few years ago because Nick did his collab with Richard Spencer, and he has this like beef with Richard Spencer. So Anglin
him.
took it as like Nick stabbing him in the back.
Fuck
As
him.
If, yeah. And there was something that was brought up too. You might have caught this on the show last night. I totally forgot about this until Nick brought it up again. But JD Vance bought a house from his dad.
Yep.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, okay, if that's a coincidence,
Nick
then
is beyond the pale. But JD Vance is doing real estate deals with the guy from Stormfront.
yeah,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Okay, what the fuck are we talking about? I saw someone said thoughts on Richard Spencer. I love Richard Spencer, and
Same
I
here.
think
We love
great
Richard
with his-
Spencer,
yeah,
dude. Yeah,
I think he looks
totally.
great with his mustache, and I think it's great.
Let's go. Okay, chat. Let's end it there. I do gotta get head into the gym. This was awesome talking with you, though, dude.
Thank you so much for
Great
having me. It was a real
content.
pleasure.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming on. We'll totally have to run it back and let's do it again. If you're
Totally.
down. Yeah.
Anytime. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Thanks so
I'll
much.
everybody go and follow Basil. I saw my mods posting your links in the chats throughout the
Oh,
stream.
thank you. Yeah,
So
BasilianThought. So BASILIAN Thought on
hell
Twitter.
yeah, everybody go and follow him. Great
Oh, and
Twitter
check out
poster.
the Betty show featuring Basil this Saturday at 9:30, streaming on Twitter, and then it'll be on YouTube after.
Everybody go and check it out. Okay, Basil. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. I'll talk to you
Appreciate it.
later.
Bye.